Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. First and foremost, I don't think any of you on this channel, aside from some of my friends that knew about some other channels I had started after I kind of disappeared from this channel 6 months ago, 7 months ago, however long it's been. By the way, Happy New Year, Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. It's been a lot of stuff that I've missed, including a birthday that I haven't been on here talking to you guys, and I feel bad about that because 520 of you for some reason have subbed to me. I don't know why. Apparently a lot of the traffic came from a ranking of the Friday the 13th movies. But welcome to all the folks who actually are here and, you know, are sticking around for whatever reason. I need to talk with you about something, whether it be the friends who've kind of went to some of the other channels I've done, kind of some rebranding stuff I want to talk about with this channel. Nothing too severe, just kind of really refining what I want to do with my Strange Michael channel. First and foremost, I think I might go ahead and change it to a name of a channel that I really like. There's a name that I've been using on other channels that I've used to review any kind of movie, and really anything, and most of those channels have completely flopped. I may get 20 to 30 subs, and they just kind of fall apart. I've tried different styles. I've tried video making like I used to when I was younger, where I would just have like my voice on a microphone and I would have a picture on the screen. I've done a couple of videos here on this channel like that, in that style, and that I like, but I always realize people don't like that as much as they like just someone being on camera, a background to look at, even though this is a little bright compared to kind of, you know, what I usually upload on my channel, especially in the previous house I used to live in that had all the dark wood behind me. This one has kind of a lighter wood, but anyway, I can turn the lights off down here if you'd like. It'll make things a little bit darker, make it fit the spookier vibe of my very weirdo YouTube horror review channel. Anyway, I kind of want to use that name that I keep using for those other channels called Night of the Living Dude, because I love Night of the Living Dead, and I love that name. I think it's something kind of memorable, more memorable than Strange Michael, but I will still introduce the videos as, hey everyone, it's Strange Michael, because I like that. It's a little bit more simple for my mouth instead of trying to say Night of the Living Dude, which is a lot of syllables, and my mouth is not going to be able to say it on most mornings, which is when I record as soon as my wife goes to work. Anyway, so I want to stick with the horror genre for this channel. Despite the name change being Night of the Living Dude for this channel, I'm going to change the names of those channels over there too and maybe do something else with those. I've thought of some other things too, by the way, like I'm a huge Star Wars fan, at least of the Legends canon pre-Disney. I thought about doing a Star Wars channel. I thought about doing a lot of stuff. Of course, many of you know me from my previous channel, Michael Goosebumps Fan, where I reviewed every single thing from Goosebumps. Right now, I still need to talk about the 2015 movie, but every book, every TV episode, including the new Horrible show, I talked about all of it on there. In case you're a big Goosebumps fan and you don't know that, go check out Michael Goosebumps Fan. I reviewed everything just like I do here, unedited, so on and so on. But this is the thing. With this channel, I've always struggled with what to do with it because I kind of wanted to mimic other people that I watched all the time, and I think it's very clear you shouldn't do that with YouTube because you're not going to be as good or not as fitting into what you're trying to pull off. First and foremost, I always wanted to be like this one channel who I've talked to many a time. I've watched he and his now wife's videos forever. Jason and Kaylee at Sinister Cinema Reviews. I recommend their channel highly. I love their content. I've been watching them before Jason even got to dating Kaylee, so been watching the guy forever. He's been around for like 7 or 8 years on YouTube doing strictly horror videos. Now let me tell you, what his content was and what a lot of YouTubers I watch do are review everything they watch horror-wise and just kind of give like a 5 or 10 minute or sometimes 15-minute long review or rant or, you know, recommendation about something that they love from horror. And most of the time I'm noticing more and more people don't have time to bother watching reviews on something that could seem average or okay, you know, not in the sense of the video they're watching on YouTube. If they're going to YouTube to watch something like that, that's the audience you want to try to capture. But what I'm really saying is, people don't want to just see a billion reviews uploaded for movies that may be okay, or in my case, because a lot of the time with indie filmmaking, especially in horror, half the time I'm not impressed. I'm just not, especially with newer horror films, just not impressed. Now, with that being said, I think when it's a big theater release, or a theater release in general, like something like, I haven't seen this yet, but a movie that I do want to see despite my frustrations like everybody else on the planet, of another possession haunted house movie, Pray for the Devil, that came out last year in 2023. I wanted to see it, despite it looking kind of average, kind of generic, kind of typical for what that subgenre is. I wanted to talk about that movie at some point because it was a theatrical release, because it was something recent too. Doesn't mean I need to review everything that's come out recently that's an indie film or something popping up on Tubi that says whatever, or every found footage movie, despite my love for found footage. I don't need to talk about all that stuff because I noticed between the views I would get and the views that a lot of you would share in the comments in discussion with me about what you wanted, whether you're friends of mine, like a good friend, Goosebumps Completionist, who also has a channel called Horror FFA, big recommendation for me, love that guy's videos, or my other friend, BD Horror, or another friend named Cooper, or another friend named Grayson. I have a lot of people out there that I've been friends with for a while from the Goosebumps community who watch this channel too sometimes and tell me different things on what they would want, what they would like to see. And I appreciate that because it really helped me kind of refine over time what I need to do. I'm realizing that when I tried to have those other channels review everything, every genre, whatever, it was hard to take off, and I still haven't taken off, to be honest with you. Personally, I think 500 subs is a really good starting place. But the big problem, I think, is because you're not niching down. And I think this goes as advice for everybody on YouTube. Everybody talks about niching down, and I always kind of pushed that aside and avoided that particular advice on any channel I did. The only one that ever fit that role that made sense to me now, in hindsight, was not completionist, was the Goosebumps channel. All of these Goosebumps books behind me I paid money for over time from thrift books, eBay, Amazon, all of these different places, and I love them deeply. And I think my passion for them showed through, but I also think the fact that it was a channel dedicated mainly to Goosebumps, with some other segments that I would talk about, you know, black and white horror movies and so on and so on. That love for Goosebumps is why people came to that channel. And it just kind of proved over time, people still watch it for whatever reason. I'm almost at 1 million views on that channel, which was, not to boast, but I'm just saying that was something that was impressive to me because I've never seen that kind of number before on any channel I've ever ran. I love Goosebumps, and I mainly grew up and loved horror because of things like Goosebumps and things like the '78 Halloween film from Carpenter that my mom showed me. You guys know I've talked about this a lot, my love for horror, all the memories I spent at Hollywood Video and whatever, picking up horror titles all the time. There's still many things I remember from back in the day I haven't seen yet, like Frogs, for example. I think it's a '70s film with Sam Elliott or something, I don't remember. But anyway, I don't want to just do what other people are doing, whether it be Sinister Cinema reviews or whoever. I don't want to cover everything. I think what the problem was for me with this channel and with other channels I tried to do, like the other ones called Night of the Living Dude, were that I wasn't niching down to what I actually needed to do. And I think the most dedicated audience ever on YouTube in general is horror. I really mean that. How many times have you as a horror fan, and I mean this as people who watch horror religiously, basically like I do, how many times have you just went out of your way to go to like the most recent videos on the search bar for reviews on Halloween movies or Nightmare on Elm Street films or the newest Saw films, inspire you to go check out the old reviews from other channels about whatever, podcasts, so on and so on? How often do you do that? It's because the horror audience are really dedicated not only to the nostalgia of the good old days like the 80s and sometimes the 90s, but also because they love discussing these things, because there's so much to talk about in general. They're fun. They're just fun, and we don't even make movies like that anymore. They can be controversial with things like Halloween Ends and Friday Part 5 and New Nightmare. Stuff like that can be really controversial and worth discussing, worth seeing different people's opinions and discussions on. Many of you have seen my ranking of like the Halloween films and whatever. I have a lot of controversial opinions about many of the series and my rankings of them because I love them deeply, but I have a lot of excuses and a lot of irritations with different movies. So anyway, my point is, I think most people want, and many of you have already told me this in the past, you want more of the mainstream stuff. But with me, you're going to run out of that content eventually. That's been my worry the whole time with this channel. And also the worry that I think most of the videos on this channel are terrible. I really do. The Halloween videos, like every single thumbnail is me wearing the same shirt. And I typically will take this, I'll take a shirt and I'll put it on to film videos in, and I'll use it for 2 days. I won't wear it the whole day, obviously, but I'll wear it for like 10 minutes, and I'll take it off and I'll use it the next day, and then eventually it goes in the wash. You may have noticed that with the channels, but anyway, the Halloween reviews I did mostly in one night. I think it was one night I reviewed most of those movies. After kind of piling up and watching all of them back to back over a few days, I finally cut out some time at the house I used to live at that was super busy, was on a busy road, and trying to get a good time to record so many videos back to back was a pain in the ass all the time. It was absolutely a pain in the ass, and it used to bother me tremendously. I don't think it came across as much in the videos as I wanted it to, but it would bother me all the time, to the point where I would even make comments about, you know, loud-ass trucks running down the road and stuff. And I don't live in that kind of area anymore, thank you, Jesus. But I never want to live on a busy road ever again in my life if I can prevent it. But anyway, those kinds of videos seem rushed, despite them being 25 minutes long sometimes. I feel like there wasn't as much passion that came through in those videos. They feel rushed. They feel like there's not enough time and love dedicated to them in a good way, in a concise way, and something that people don't want to spend that much time watching somebody recap something like that. Unless it's more personable, like I try to make it, with nostalgic memories, how many times I've seen a movie in my life, so on and so on. Or little factoids, that kind of thing that I think are cool. And I think the horror audience really appreciates that in general when we talk about Halloween or Friday or whatever, because we all have these memories, because we have shared memories. We like to discuss about where were you the first time you saw Halloween? That's a big thing. Most people talk about that. Regular moviegoers, normies talk about that. Non-horror fans talk about stuff like that because of classic films like Halloween. And it's something that I think is worth discussing. But like I said, I like the idea of niching down like a lot of people recommend, because this channel being strictly horror dedicated, 500 subs is a pretty cool place to start at. It ain't much, but it's good to know, because a lot of you guys actually do comment back and forth with me. If I put up a community post, some of you actually really do discuss things with me there. Like I have been recently talking to some of my friends like BD Horror, like I said, kind of about what to do with this channel. I'm going to leave the videos up previously, like the Halloween reviews and stuff, but just understand that it's because I think a lot of you guys like those videos. I don't understand why, but I'm leaving them up for you. If it were up to me, I guess it still is, but without being a total dick, I decided to leave them up because I think that some of you, for whatever reason, like them. It finds some traffic for the channel. That's kind of cool. But still, what I think I'm going to do is leave those up. Maybe in the future review them again, like the Halloween films or something, in a different way. Obviously in this setting, because I love this house and I love this kind of backdrop and stuff, despite it not having my horror movies behind me. But I think what I'm going to do is kind of ease things out a little bit. I don't need to review everything I watch. I don't need to review every horror movie, for that matter, that I watch, because a lot of the time I just go to Tubi based on recommendations, and I watch shit that doesn't have anything good about it, or I watch something random. Like I said, found footage films, I try to give the benefit of the doubt, because you might go to IMDb, they have like a 4 out of 5 star, or 4 out of 10 star rating, and that usually is a big sign it's not going to be great. But what I've noticed with like found footage, for example, not to get too far into this, but found footage usually ranks lower than a 5 out of 10. And I hate that, because there's a lot of them, like Fear Footage 1, 2, and 3, that I really, really like, and really love, for that matter, that they get unfairly hated upon in the rating scale, because found footage is not beloved by normies, or film critics, or shills, or anybody. However, this is the big thing here. Regular horror movies, you can trust that when it's below a 4, or below a 5, for example, on IMDb, you're probably going to hate it. More than likely. So I don't even spend time on it if it's a regular non-found footage horror film. But I had a movie recently that I was going to review for one of the other channels, and I kept thinking, as much as I hated that movie, as much as the rant might have been funny, what was the point of uploading a review for this, because no one was going to watch that video? And then I went down this whole rabbit hole about, again, the Goosebumps channel was popular because it was Goosebumps. The horror channel here, Strange Michael, was popular because it was a horror-focused channel. It had that audience who are built in anyway. If you were talking about horror, people are going to come to your channel. That niching down has been on my mind so much, and I've thought about it for days and days. I've scoured all over Reddit, on the NewTubers page, for example, looking at different information about niching down and how important that is to beginners. Not that I'm a beginner. I've been doing YouTube for like 15 years on different channels over time, so it's not that I'm new. It's that I don't take advice and really think it through all the way. Half the time I'm so busy doubting it because it's coming from people who are not at millions of subscribers that what's the point, you know? But anyway, it's not about the subs for me. It's more about the engagement for you guys, what you guys want to see. And again, that fear in the back of my brain is that eventually I'm going to run out of content. You know, eventually there's only so many Leprechaun movies. There's only so many news articles I can talk about here on the channel. There's only so many ranking videos I can do, or re-ranking videos I can do. I know there's a lot of stuff you guys probably don't care that I want to talk about, but I have a solution to that. What my solution is, I'm going to start up a new segment on the channel that I think is a decent idea, and I hope that you guys will like it. Let me know down below about everything I said in this video, but if you made it this far, let me know your thoughts, especially about something like this. I have an idea about a segment called Hidden Horrors, and I didn't want to just call it Hidden Gems, but I thought it would be a good thing to recommend movies that I think are completely underrated, that no one talks about, that I think are worth your time. For example, I have one right here I'm going to show in a haul video, because it'll be the haul video of movies I picked up that are horror related and last, well, since before Christmas, I guess, or right after Christmas mainly, but I haven't bought a lot of horror movies before Christmas because I was buying a lot of video games and stuff from a store I love locally, but I got a lot of gift cards and money for Christmas, so I went ahead and bought a lot of cool stuff. Been to a couple of pawn shops recently, found some cool things, but one movie that I think would immediately fit the Hidden Horrors I guess, segment of my channel is one that I love deeply. I don't even know if I reviewed this on my Goosebumps channel once upon a time, but it's a movie that I think is super underrated. I just saw it for like the 4th time or 3rd time in my life. It's Dolly Dearest. I love Dolly Dearest. It's currently sitting at a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think is a damn crime. This movie is so great. I love it. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, call it a Child's Play ripoff all you want. It's phenomenal. I love it deeply. But there's stuff like that, or another movie right here called Possum that I love deeply, that I think are just incredible movies, and I really want to talk about them. And I think they're super underrated, they're completely misunderstood, whether it be art house horror, which I'm really not a fan of, or whether it be something like Dolly Dearest, that's just kind of a killer doll flick that people just don't know. No one I know talks about this. I've never met anybody in person who's seen it until I showed it to them. Never had any friends online that have talked about the movie. I want to have a segment called Hidden Horrors to recommend things to you that I think personally are big recommendations that I think are worth your time. Then I have the other part of the channel that I do want to discuss things that, for example, I recently saw a film that I've seen recommended as one of the best 80s hidden gems horror films ever made. And I looked forward to this. I finally checked it out. It was on Tubi, and it was called Night of the Comet. Let me just tell you, I'm not a fan of Night of the Comet. It's the first time and only time I've ever seen it. Probably going to be the only time and last time I ever watch it in my entire life. Was not a fan at all. And I would love to share my opinions in a review for this channel about something like that, because most 80s horror fans seem to know at least the title, Night of the Comet. The concept's cool, the movie sucks. I don't care what anybody says. Despite getting into not so much of that just yet for this channel, I wanted to make it clear that there can be big things people talk about in the community, whether it be older or newer. One review I would really like to make that a lot of you, my friends, close friends that have my other channels like Night of the Living Dude, have probably seen my thoughts on When Evil Lurks, which is a new horror film from 2023 that was a massive surprise to everybody. Or another big surprise, Cobweb. Cobweb got amazing reviews, so did When Evil Lurks. They would not be on the Hidden Horrors review segment of my channel, but they would be reviews on the channel because they were big deals. Everybody were talking about them, or everybody was talking about them. What kind of grammar was that? Did you hear that? Anyway, I really thought it'd be fun to kind of address stuff this way. And again, the Hidden Horrors thing allows me to talk about stuff that I love, that I think you guys would like, or if you care about recommendations from me for maybe something you haven't heard of before, that's the way to do it. I also love horror documentaries. I'll talk about that sometime. I recently saw Pennywise, the Story of It from 2021 about the 1990 miniseries, Stephen King's It, and it was incredible. I loved that documentary. So freaking good. There's just so much I want to talk about, and this allows me more time to do that for videos for you with more passion put into them, maybe a little formulaic, repetitive nature, but I'll also add my little personal stories and stuff like when I talk about Dolly Dearest in the next video. But I just hope that this is kind of a good, I don't want to say compromise, that feels like we're married, you know, but I feel like this is the way to go with this. You have the horror recommendations from me on the Hidden Horror segment, which will be the first video I upload immediately after this for Dolly Dearest. When I get enough horror movies built up over like a month or so, if I do buy anything, right now I can't because I recently bought a new phone because I cracked mine to hell, and I had to buy a new phone, and it was cheap, thank God, because I'm really a cheap man in general. I look for deals, and I get them. But I've been finding some stuff, like I said, after Christmas, every once in a while that I've been grabbing up. A lot of non-horror stuff from like pawn shops and everything and Goodwills, which are dirt cheap. But I've been finding horror stuff that I want to show you in a haul video after the Dolly Dearest video I'm going to make. Not today, but maybe in the next couple of days. Maybe on Valentine's Day. It'll be a Valentine's Day present from me to you, my friend. I don't know. But I've had people recommend reviewing like the Twilight Zone episodes one after another, and I originally wanted to do that with things like that, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side. I don't know if I should do individual reviews. I kind of thought about just reviewing the show entirely. I feel like that would be the most influx of people, because how many people are actually taking out their time to sit down and watch episodic reviews? You know, I don't think that's happening. I just don't. Maybe in the niche community of Twilight Zone fans like myself, but that would also mean if I eventually get to the 2000 series, which I've heard is not good and I've never seen from Twilight Zone, then I'm going to have to do that for that series. And maybe then the Jordan Peele terrible 2-season run that I hate so deeply with a passion. I just don't think it's worth the time. I don't think most people want that, for that matter. X-Files. X-Files has a ton of bad episodes, but a lot of great episodes too. Some really great seasons, and some really bad seasons that I don't want to review every episode of. So I think it might make sense to just review the entire series in one go. It might take me a while to get to it, but at least I can do that. Now, let's get to the next thing. I will continue to talk about horror games. And they can be thriller games. They can be things like Condemned that has a little lesser downplayed supernatural element. It's more about a crime-solving thing. I'm going to keep reviewing horror games every once in a while. But I'm also planning on keeping up with reviewing books, horror books. Now, the hidden horrors thing, the recommendations thing, I'm not really going to do so much with the horror books. I'll probably just review what I read when I read it. I haven't been in a reading mood since Christmas. I've read maybe 3 or 4 books since Christmas, and that's it. Mainly when I was sick at Christmas time. And that's it. There were like 3 horror books I need to review. One is an R.L. Stine book. I read my first Shivers book. And there's a manga that I loved, absolutely loved, and cannot wait to talk about. When it comes to horror novels, or I guess, you know, nonfiction if it's about a subject like Twilight Zone or something, I don't know. I'll probably just go ahead and put a review up on the channel anyway, despite it being something people recommend, or if they don't recommend. How does that sound? Hopefully that sounds worth your time. I can review basically any Stephen King book that I talk about that isn't something like Blockade Billy or whatever, the baseball one. I could talk about, you know, mainly his big core stuff, like The Outsider, that's a more recent release, or Holly, which I'm not a Holly fan, but I would do it for you all. You know, what about stuff like that? He has a lot of thriller stuff that he writes nowadays, and he has a lot of horror stuff from back in the day, like The Shining and Carrie and Cujo and so on and so on. We have a Salem's Lot movie coming out this year. I could do like a Salem's Lot marathon, despite not being a hardcore fan of Salem's Lot. There's so much to do with this channel. I just worry about doing it wrong. But I know that you guys want more stuff that you've heard of, not so much recommendations on things you haven't seen, but at least that hidden horrors thing allows that for me, and I don't have to just sit here over and over again and say that something that's indie film that doesn't have the budget it needs to be a great movie is mediocre or average. I don't have to just sit here and say that over and over again for movies that you don't care about because you haven't heard of them. It's fair, it's understandable. Maybe it seems unfair to the filmmakers, but I'm not here just for them. I'm here for you guys because I want to be able to talk about horror with people who give a shit about horror the way I do. Horror to me is in a bad place right now. Every maybe 3, 4, 5 months we get a good one, like a really good one, and maybe every once in a while I find one that's recommended, again, on Reddit or top 10 list of whatever year, or top 10s of all time, whatever, greatest 100 horror movies of all time, that kind of listing stuff is where I get my recommendations from, and I could just take stuff like that, watch those movies, and talk about them with you guys, or look through my collection before I get them up on the wall, on my shelves, look through the collection and find something and recommend it to you that way. Now, this is the thing, though, with thriller. Thriller can be a little bit all over the place. It can be goofier, like a John Woo Face Off movie, or it can be like something supernatural like The Crow. The Crow has a little bit of horror in its veins, and I think it would be worth talking about on the channel. So I'm trying to narrow down what's the window, what do I not talk about, what's too goofy, whatever. I'm trying to really figure out how to map that out. If you have some recommendations on that, let me know. But, you know, this isn't just horror. This is horror comedy as well on my channel, too. So why couldn't I have thriller comedy like Face Off as well? Just saying. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming out that I do want to cover here soon, like the new Ghostbusters movie. I've reviewed the other whole 3 movies, or 4 movies, I guess, on other channels. I'm probably going to go ahead and redo that for this channel before the new one comes out, Frozen Empire. There's a new Godzilla film. I haven't seen -1, but I do want to see the Godzilla x Kong movie. That sounds really cool. It looks kind of wild. But I could talk about the MonsterVerse films. That's another thing I want to ask you about, too. I know I just keep throwing out more shit at you guys, but let me ask you this. When it comes to, like, Godzilla movies, I have quite a few. I have, like, maybe 20 in my collection. I've never been a big Godzilla guy. There's certain things that I really love about those movies, and there's a lot of things I really don't like about them. Would you want to see reviews for Godzilla films? Technically, to me, they are creature features, not just kaiju movies, especially the original Godzilla, obviously. Godzilla -1 went back to its horror roots. From what I understand, I haven't seen it, like I said. But do you want to see reviews for all of the Godzilla films? Would you like something like that? I'm sure as hell not talking about something like Mothra. I hate, despise, utterly am disgusted by Mothra movies. I will not cover something like that. But straight out creature features like Godzilla films with that kind of kaiju element, or maybe would Pacific Rim count? I don't know. What do you guys want to see with something like that? Do you want to see that is what I would be curious about. It's not really like a, hey, I want to talk about this, please let me talk about it. I don't mean it to sound like that. I mean more like, what do you guys classify that as, I guess? I don't know. I'm all over the place at this point. I kind of just want to end the video now after 20-25 minutes of rambling. I don't even know what time it is. It's getting late. Not at night, just I have to go to work. But let me know everything you think down in the comments section down below about the stuff I've kind of proposed here. I feel like we're making a contract for marriage, like I said, or for business partnership. But I just want to give you guys what you want. But I don't want to just keep reviewing everything on the planet, because I can even see it in the faces of people like Jason and Kaylee from Sinister Cinema Reviews nowadays. Movies have gotten so bad, even down to horror films, and horror indies have gotten so bad, that it's rare to get something that's worth watching, or worth recommending to people. And you can see it in the faces of so many big YouTuber movie reviewers as well. A lot of people are going backwards and checking out older stuff, whether it be older comedies from the 2000s, or the 90s, or the 80s, whether it be horror movies, anything. Because stuff is shit right now. Just in general, media is garbage. Not just because of political agenda, just because they don't know how to make movies. They're not putting talented people in the right places, or giving talented people a voice. And it's starting to show a lot. Like a lot. Anyway, so with all that being said, let me know your thoughts on my proposals here, what you want. Do you like the hidden horrors idea? Do you like reviewing just any kind of horror book I read and discuss? You know, what do you think about all that? I want to hear your thoughts and comments about it down in the comment section down below. Sorry for a rambly tangent video that is worse than usual from yours truly. And I'm sorry again, too, I've been gone for so long. Like I said in my community post, I didn't mean to turn on a neglected father who went out to get some milk or some cigarettes and never came back. But I was kind of having a crisis, because after the Goosebumps channel ended, you know, because I finished basically everything. I have nothing more to talk about aside from new releases on that channel, maybe some news, and I don't even do that anymore with it. So I kind of had like I don't want to say a mental crisis, but I really didn't know what to do anymore. And I had all this freedom, all this free time that I wasn't spending to Goosebumps anymore, because I haven't really reread much since I finished the channel up last year. I just had so much free time, I don't know what to do with myself. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I found some pounds, but, you know, I could have done something else to better myself, maybe learn some new skills, and I'm just not about to do that. Not about to do that. I need to, but I'm not about to do that, because I know myself, and I'm a lazy bum. But anyway, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Do you have any big recommendations from 2023 when it comes to horror stuff? Books, movies, any of that you'd love to hear me talk about? I would love to hear everything you have to say about all this stuff down in the comment section down below. Anything you can recommend, I'd love to discuss with you. But I can't guarantee a review unless it's something I've seen a couple of times. That's kind of my rule of thumb too. If I've seen something mentioned to me online at least 3 or 4 times, like Night of the Comet, whether it be old or new, then I'll go ahead and talk about it. But it's mainly going to be theatrical releases when I can get around to seeing them, whether it be on streaming, when they come to streaming, because I can't make it to the theater all the time because of my scheduling with my job. Or if it's something like, something that went indie, that is an indie film, that everybody's talking about, that everybody's discussing, I think is worth really showing interest in. I think it's worth talking about. You never know what you'll find, on this channel or otherwise. But I kind of think this random, sporadic, discussing random stuff all the time is not really paying off for anybody. For you guys as viewers, for anything that you want to see or anything you want to hear about, or me trying to connect more with you guys and build an actual community here like I had on the Goosebumps channel. I love that, and I love when people are going to do that kind of thing, and my kind of video style with the not editing thing, I think really allows that kind of community building, unlike the skittish, erratic, over-edited videos that I can't stand on the internet. But anyway, let me know everything you think down in the comment section down below. Sorry to be gone for so long on this channel, particularly for many of you who don't even know I had other channels. Welcome. God bless you. I'm thankful you're here. I hope you guys had, again, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Thanksgiving, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year's Eve, Happy New Year's Day, Happy 2024, Happy Valentine's Day, whatever else I've missed. I hope you guys are doing well. God bless you all. Happy Valentine's Day. And tune in for that next video immediately after this for my Dolly Dearest Hidden Horrors review, because this is a big one that I love. And if you haven't seen it before and you love killer doll flicks, or if you just love Child's Play Chucky movies, give it a watch. Trust me. Anyway, I'm also trying to figure out the thumbnails, by the way. If I want to just do a picture, like I get off of like Google or something, because I really don't like having to pose constantly for reviews, because I upload so many videos all the time that it just feels weird. But if I have to pose for a video, like my movie haul video I'm going to do for all these horror films I picked up throughout this year so far, that's different. But for every single movie review, I can't see that being the case. I just think people think that's weird, and I think it's weird, and I understand why. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. Again, I'll probably change the channel name very soon, Night of the Living Dude, and I'll rename those other channels to something else because I have some other ideas for what I want to do with those other channels. I kind of thought about doing a cartoon-focused channel, like the stuff I grew up on, and maybe some older stuff too, but mainly stuff I grew up on, like Ed, Edd n Eddy, which I recently watched all the way through about maybe 5-6 months ago. I saw the movie for the first time, never heard of that. I'm watching Billy and Mandy and Jimmy Neutron right now at the same time, so there's that. I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about that hopefully other people will give a shit about, but Billy and Mandy I feel like I could review here because people would appreciate that, I think. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Tune in for the next videos, and let me know your thoughts about everything down below, because I want to know what you think, and I want to know what you guys want to do with this stuff, because I'm not a reaction channel or anything like that, but, Anyway, thank you guys. God bless you all. Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful one. I can't wait to get home tomorrow and hang out with my beautiful wife. I'm going to pick us up some Chick-fil-A hearts. Like the hearts with the chicken nuggets in it. We're going to have that for dinner, so it's going to be great. Anyway, God bless you guys. Goodbye.